Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my office, which is also the spare room, as you can tell by my cat, who is demonstrating what I do most of the time in this room. I actually painted these walls this green colour, which is from Valspar, and it's actually called Afternoon Nap because I was planning on doing that. It really was. I thought it would be really fun to do like a week in reading vlog. I love watching weekly vlogs, and sometimes I feel like to make them myself I need to give them like a bit of a theme. So I figured I need to do some reading this week. I've got 2 current books on the go which I'm going to talk to you about. I would like to finish those and then maybe start something else. Ambitious because it's already Tuesday, so we're already off to a bad start. But Monday was just chaotic and I didn't get any chance to read or even to sit down and film a little intro, so I figured it's still a week in reading because we don't always read every day, but we're going to start here. I created a little bit of an autumn TBR over on Instagram, which I will leave linked below if you want to have a little look, and mostly it's like gothic, fantasy, spooky season reads. As we get closer to October, I like to sort of up the spook, but that being said, I also need something light and fluffy to dip in and out of because I'm not always in the mood for the spooky vibes. So at the moment I am currently reading Tripping Arcadia by Kit Mayquist, which I have had this book. So I followed Kit on Instagram for a really long time, so I knew this book was coming out. I was excited about it, and then I eventually managed to track down a copy because I don't think it was officially published in the UK, or if it was minimally published in the UK. I found this copy in Foyles on Tottenham Court Road, and I paid £22 for it a year ago, which the price of hardbacks I'm starting to find incredibly upsetting. But I finally started it. I'm quite a way through. I am on page 238 and so far I'm really enjoying it. This was sort of pitched to me as dark academia, and I wouldn't really call it dark academia. It's got a lot of like dark academia qualities, but it's not set in a school, it's not set within academia. The main character is a scientist. I say scientist, she was training to be a doctor, she's got like a herbalism background, she has a very scientific minded brain. So I think that's probably why they've labelled it academia. I personally would just call it like a gothic novel, which is exactly what it says on the book, to be fair. So maybe I just read a bad review that misnamed it. Anyway, I would recommend this. I'm really enjoying this, and I would recommend it if you were a fan of books like The Secret History, which I'm recognising is a dark academia, or something like Bunny or Heather Derwent's Things We Do to Our Friends, Things We Do to Our Friends. It's got that kind of like wealthy people going insane, killing people vibe, and I'm really enjoying it. So I've not got a whole lot of that left. That's all I've got left to read of that one. And then I also picked up A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire by Sarah Hawley. I read the first 2 books in this. They're sort of like standalone romances that sort of link. They're all set in the same town called Glimmer Falls, and yeah, I'm enjoying this. I think I'm not enjoying it as much as the first 2, if I'm being completely honest. I think maybe I'm a little bit done on this particular format. It's a romance between a guy named Ben, who's a werewolf, and a girl called Eleanor, who is a half vampire, half succubus. So think like magical realism, romance, spicy. It's fun. I just haven't really, I've been reading this for a couple of weeks and I've barely made any progress. I just haven't really wanted to pick it up. So I would really like to finish this within the next couple of days and just move on. Now, before we get into the actual reading, I also wanted to show you a book that was delivered today by the publishers, because I'm very excited for this one. If you follow me on Goodreads or you watch my Instagram like little book reviews, I don't tend to post on stories book reviews very much anymore, which I'm trying to get better at. I tend to just mention Goodreads in the stories. But yeah, following my Goodreads is the best way to know what I'm reading. I am such an S.T. Gibson fan. I loved A Dower of Blood is one of my most favourite books I've ever read. I really loved An Education in Malice. The first time I read, oh god, what's the book in this series? Evocation. The first time I read Evocation, I haven't had enough coffee today. The first time I read Evocation, I didn't love it, and I don't think it was the book's fault. I think it was just the timing of me reading it. It's a very character heavy, not plot heavy book, and I don't think I was in the mood for that. I'd just come off the back of like a really dense fantasy, and I was really in the mood for something that was like had a bit more pacing. But what I did love about that book was the character building. And so this, I believe, Odd Spirits is a prequel. Can we first talk about how bloody gorgeous this book is? Because, good lord, it's obviously very small, novella size, so I believe this will be quite a quick read. I am just very excited to have this in my hands and to give it a go, because I think I'm in more of a place now to read a character heavy book. So I'm hoping that this has got a bit more of Reese and Moira, because Moira was my favourite character in the first book as well. So hopefully we'll get to that this week. I have a very large TBR, so there's plenty to be reading. I now have, it's 5:20. I have about just under an hour until Connor gets home, and I'm just gonna read. So maybe, I don't know how many pages I've got left in Tripping Arcadia, but there's a good chance I could finish it. So there's 112 pages left to read, which is feasible. I could do that in an hour. So I think I might just climb up into the bed next to the cat, to be honest. I think she's got the right idea. It's really hard to get any reading done when she's being this cute. It is 6:09 and I just finished reading the book. I always feel like I need a minute to compose my thoughts after I finish a book. Like I know I enjoyed it, but it always takes me a minute to articulate why. So I'll let you know. Good morning, it's Wednesday. I was just getting ready to start my day, and then I had some mail arrived, and I know what this is and I'm so excited. But I wanted to say that one thing I always notice is when PR companies put effort into like the mailer as a whole. Like I love when they make the effort. It just, you know something good is inside. I knew this was coming, and when I tell you I've been waiting for the postman with like bated breath, because my favourite book of all time is If We Were Villains. And ML Rio is finally coming out with something new. Oh, it's a pen with like dried flowers in the end. I don't know if you can see that. It's so cute. And there's like a pendulum and a key. Every night in the college's cemetery, 5 people cross paths. One October evening, they find a fresh open grave where no grave should be. I feel like everything on my TBR just immediately has been bumped, because is there a more exciting book this year? Is there a more exciting release? I don't think so. I feel like I should be doing some kind of aesthetic unboxing, but I'm literally just too excited. Isn't she gorgeous? I am sad that we've waited all this time and we're only getting like a novella length. But it does sound amazing. This is the blurb, if you're interested. It says, every night in the college's ancient cemetery, 5 people cross paths as they work the late shift. A bartender, a rideshare driver, a hotel receptionist, the steward of the derelict church that looms over them, and the editor-in-chief of the college paper, always in search of a story. One dark October evening in the defunct churchyard, they find a hole that wasn't there before, a fresh open grave where no grave should be, but who dug it and for whom? Before they go their separate ways, the gravedigger returns. As they trail him through the night, they realise he may be the key to a string of strange happenings around town that have made headlines for the last few weeks, and they may be closer to the mystery than they thought. Atmospheric, eerie, and featuring an ensemble of misfits that fans will love, and a delightfully similar academic backdrop, Graveyard Shift is a modern gothic tale in If We Were Villains authors ML Rio's inimitable style. So that's my plan for the rest of the day sorted, which I feel quite bad because I did pick up A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire this morning and try and make a little bit of headway, and then I got distracted. And I would like to finish that book, I really would, but I need to read this first. Hi. The weather feels so aggressively autumnal. It's almost like the equinox happened and a switch flipped, and it's just pure autumn now. Anyway, it's Thursday afternoon. Yesterday I read the whole of Graveyard by ML Rio. It was only 120 odd pages, so it didn't take long. I read a little bit of it. I was early to my therapy appointment, so I read a bit in the car and then I finished the rest off, and it was so good. I am really in like a novella mood. I think that's the second novella I've read this month, and I've just really enjoyed them. Both of them have had really good pacing. The other one was 6 Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent, which is from the Crowns of Nyaxia series. If you've read Serpent of Wings and Night, or Wings and Ruin, I don't know, all those fantasy books sound the same to me. Anyway, I really enjoyed both. I am now kind of like in the headspace for a few more novellas, but what I do want to do is finish this book. I don't know why I'm struggling to sit and read this one so much, but because I really did enjoy the previous books in this series. So I'm going to try and persevere. I don't know, just under halfway through, and I would like to finish this because I would like to move on to something else, if I'm honest. What do you think, Wills? You gonna snuggle? Yeah? The week is over and I read everything I wanted to read, and I'm kind of pleased. I feel like I've never really been into novellas, but I've really enjoyed reading some shorter books, and so I've immediately, I know I mentioned this book before, but this is going to be my next one to start. And yeah, I think I'm just going to try and work novellas into my everyday reading pile a little bit more. I've really enjoyed it. So if you have any recommendations, please let me know. I'd love to know what you've been reading this week. I feel like I am very much a mood reader, but I also take a lot of inspiration from other people's recommendations and like what other people are reading. I get quite bad FOMO, I think, is the thing. If everyone's reading something, I want to read it. And then if I don't read what everyone's reading, by the time everyone's reviewing it, I'm then like, no, I'm not interested anymore. It's weird that. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you're reading, and I'll see you next time.